I mean, there's mission trips, and it's great if they would come with us on a mission trip. You get to know somebody when you do the work with them, when you sweat and you shed tears along the way. So that would be one of the better ways. But if that's not possible, we do have tournaments throughout the U.S. Namely, we have in Detroit, we had them in Atlanta. Depends on the season and the year. So we do have obviously social media, so Charity Cup pages on either ministries, either on Instagram, Facebook, and so on, or the website charitycup.com, which is now being refurbished. But that's a way to do it. So interaction with us at that level. We appreciate any help. But at the same time, we're not soliciting help. We're soliciting people. We want people to come. We want friends that can come and learn from us, and we can learn from them. So they can get involved as volunteers at a local tournament. Soccer was the beginning, and it still is one of our main tools. Like I tell everybody, is a soccer ball can draw you 50 boys in a second. You drop it in the middle of anywhere in the world, and that's the biggest magnet. We started with soccer. We did soccer for a few years, and then we realized that the girls don't have anything, so we expanded to volleyball. So we had volleyball camps. Then we, of course, did orphans camps. So we had 3 different camps going on simultaneously.
Welcome to the Bethany Church podcast from San Antonio, Texas, a place where the Word of God comes to life, where faith is strengthened, and our hearts are encouraged. My name is Cosmin, and I'm delighted to be here with you to share uplifting messages, testimonies of faith, and biblical truths that draw us closer to God. If this podcast blesses and encourages you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your loved ones. Let's spread the message of the gospel together and be a light to those around us. Today, we're joined by our guest, George Puraci, and we will get a chance to learn more about him and his ministry. Let's begin. George, so great to have you here. How are you?
Thank you for having me here, Cosmin. I'm excellent. It's a beautiful day and glad to be part of this broadcast.
Awesome. Well, we'll get started with an opportunity for those that are watching us and listening to get a chance to know you a little bit better. And so let's start off with, can you share a little bit more about who is George, both personally, professionally, if you can let us know?
I'm a father of 3, a husband to my beautiful wife, Caitlin. And professionally, I'm a teacher. I teach science at the high school level, done so for 25 years. About the same time I started teaching, actually the exact same time we started a ministry, Charity Cup. So I'm part and involved in the board and in the ministry side of things. And of course, my church in San Bernardino, I've been part of that since 1984, for about 40 years. As we moved there as a family, we've just settled and enjoyed and been part of that community. And it's beautiful to be here in San Antonio. My first time at this church, and it's beautiful to be here.
Fantastic. And of course, we're speaking in English. We are a Romanian American church. Tell us a little bit about your immigrant story. What age did you come here? How did that all happen? Did your family immigrate to California?
Yeah, I'm the first of 6 children. When my dad had me, he had the option to give me my name of George, which was my grandfather's name. And he said, no, I'm going to give his name as George. I was born in 1974. And the reason was he knew he was going to emigrate. Now, he did emigrate. He ran away. He basically, fraudulously, as they called it, left Romania back in 1981 during communist times. And we followed him as a family in 1983. So my name was George, was given with a vision or a purpose that one day his son would be in America.
It was George, your name George in Romania?
In Romania, because my dad knew that he will be in America. And so they wouldn't have an issue with calling me awkward by my name, George, which would have been difficult out here. So
he had faith, because if he came here in 1983 and you were born in 1974, that's 9 years of waiting, right? Yeah,
he literally, he named me, and then he wanted to see God's plan be fulfilled, but he knew it would happen. And every time he called my name, it was a reminder that he's going to leave the country and emigrate.
That's excellent. Fantastic. The key topic that we want to talk about in this podcast is around missions, mission work, and our church recently had a missions conference here, which you are invited as a special guest and share more about your experiences in the field. And so I want to ask you, what inspired you to get involved in missions work?
It goes back to many years, ironically, when the Gorcha brothers came with their accordions to my little church at the time. I was but a young teenager, and they would share stories of God's work. And I looked at these 2 young men from Canada with the squeeze box, as they call it, an accordion, I play piano, and I was like, well, if they can do ministry, I would love to do ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Now that hope or that inspiration in my heart was of God, I would say, and I didn't get a chance to get involved with ministry until a little bit later in my 20s, but that was there, and they sparked it, I would say, among other missionaries that came through our churches, but they're the ones that I remember distinctly looking at the two gentlemen saying, I think we can do this. I would love to do this, and it'll be honorable to follow in their footsteps. So the Speranza brothers.
So they inspired you on missions. Did they inspire you musically as well? Because I'd love to hear more about your experience with music.
Musically, I started when I was in Romania. I had a very strict Romanian teacher, but she was Germanic, tall, never married, about 40. She was very strict to the point where I enjoyed piano as much as, I don't know what analogy I can give you, but I really did not enjoy the experience when I was a kid. I paused for a while, and then in 7th and 8th grade, when I was in the States already, I picked it up again. And the reason was our church didn't have a pianist. So I picked it up just as a need and necessity, and that worked great because I started lessons again, and classically trained. I'm not excellent, but I'm pretty good at what I do. And then I started playing by ear, and so the church basically needed a piano player. I became that piano player, and ever since I've been privileged to sing and to lead worship and to honor God through my gift of music.
And I know we've known each other probably now for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
And the Lord kind of crossed our paths. I remember when you were involved in music and in worship. And can you talk a little bit more about that ministry?
This was, again, in my 20s. I played piano, and I'm in a Pentecostal church, and right next to us is a Baptist community, Baptist church. And the pastor there was very unique. And he said, look, a piano and 12 guys, we can change the world. And I really thought that was an interesting way of putting it, because he had no idea of my experience with or seeing somebody go with an accordion and do ministry, but that was in my heart. So I took him up on it. I happened to have gone to a camp. It happened to be a Baptist camp, and we were friends, 5 of us from church, and we were friends with everybody in that camp for about 2 days. And then on the 3rd day, someone leaked that we were Pentecostals, and man, did not go over well. Though they were friends of ours, they were a little more distant. They had no idea what a Pentecostal is because they probably never interacted with the youth. So at the time, God put it on my heart to say, this cannot be, this cannot stand. And there was a popular song at the time, said, let the walls fall down. And that became our mantra. We cannot have these walls between evangelical denominations. And so that became our mission. And we started Mission 1. And the number one mission was to unite the evangelicals together for something greater. And we started in Southern California, expanded to other states. And this pastor, Brother Levy, was my mentor, my friend. And again, his vision was a piano and 12 people. So it was more than that. I invited a bunch of great musicians, much better than I, and a lot of people from different churches, the movers and shakers. And then we formed Mission 1 and started ministry with music that way.
Excellent. Yeah, I know it was early on where there was a worship team within the ethnic Romanian American community, and I can say that inspired me as well, being involved in worship ministry for a long time, and it was just great to learn from one another and be inspired by one another to help others, right, and really lay the foundation, I think, for among other people, right, and other leaders, to lay the foundation for a lot of worship and music ministry that is happening in the American diaspora church right now, and in Romania, of course, as well. So fantastic. Let's move on. Let's talk more about missions. So, what was your first mission trip like?
It wasn't with the current ministry, Charity Cup. It was with Mission 1 prior to meeting the gentleman at Charity Cup. And we decided to do a Romania tour. And ironically, interestingly, the Gorcha brothers, or Speranza, came to our church again. And I became their friends. And I asked them, hey, we're going to Romania to do a tour of Romania, but we have no vehicle. Can we borrow your Volkswagen bus? Or do you have a vehicle? And they said they have a Volkswagen bus. And I looked at these guys. They're willing to share their assets. And at the time, this is 98. It meant a lot for someone that barely knew you to offer what they had in Romania. And I said, great. But the only condition was that we would bring the bus back okay, because they're going to do a tour right after us. So the responsibility was on our shoulders. We took 30 of us, went out there, grabbed a lot of great musicians from Romania, and we did a tour of Romania. We sang in different churches, venues, even on the street. So that was technically our first mission trip, where we broadcast and we made evangelistic outreaches in the public. And it was an honor to have been, part of that. And I would say, looking back, it wasn't as it was excellent as an experience, and it wasn't technically a design mission trip. We went just to sing, but God turned it into that, and we had some evangelistic moments and inspiration, and supporting other musicians that we're still friends with to this day.
So you mentioned Charity Cup. What is Charity Cup for those that may not have heard about that organizations yet?
Yeah, at the same time we formed Mission One in the late 90s, two friends of ours, two gentlemen that we didn't know at the time, started to raise money for a ministry in Moldova and for orphans. And their best method was to have a soccer tournament in Detroit and to invite churches to play and participate. Now, they did that for a few years without us even knowing they existed. And at the same time, one of our friends, our current partner and partner since, Adrian Ambrose, he was in Romania. He started his own ministry with sports in Iași. Now, all these were going on in parallel, unbeknownst to any of us that we exist. In the year 2000, at the Pentecostal convention, I remember walking away and I saw a big banner and a visual of Charity Co. Come play soccer. And I looked up and I didn't say, who are these heathens? But I'm like, what's with this soccer tournament at a Pentecostal sports and church? I was trained not to combine the two. It was two distinct ideas, but I was so drawn to it that I said, I want to play. Our church didn't have enough players, but we still found the team. Called these two guys, and we did play for them. And because we're a music ministry, they asked us to sing at the first tournament in LA. I stayed up with my friend Catalin learning the Romanian national anthem. I didn't know what it was. We Googled it or we searched it. I don't know. It wasn't Google at the time, but we searched it. And we practiced till 3:00 because the next morning we were going to sing the national anthem. And we were the music band and also had a team at this. Actually, I apologize. The first tournament, we were just the music. Then we had a team later on. But we were asked to participate in doing the music. And the collaboration was so beautiful and so seamless that after that, they asked us if we would join them to do actual missions, their first mission tour in Romania in the year 2000.
So Charity Cup began as an organization in the 90s to raise funds for Moldova and the needs that are there, using the method and the tool of soccer and sports. And it started with soccer. Is it more than that?
Oh, absolutely. So soccer was the beginning, and it still is one of our main tools. Like I tell everybody, is a soccer ball can draw you 50 boys in a second. You drop it in the middle of anywhere in the world, and that's the biggest magnet. We started with soccer. We did soccer for a few years, and then we realized that the girls don't have anything, so we expanded to volleyball. So we had volleyball camps. Then we, of course, did orphans camps. So we had 3 different camps going on simultaneously. We realized that the boys would get hurt, so we brought Lavi, and she's John Dobral's wife now, but she came as a nurse, and the boys were always getting hurt. Always, each scratch they needed to see the nurse, and we're like, wow. So we realized the great need of medical ministry. So of course, from that we asked Lavi if she would lead the medical ministry, and that started. And eventually we got to the point where we realized we can do more than just medical, soccer, volleyball, and so on. We wanted to do actually house visits and do the more classical evangelism. So we designated it called the project Taking a Village by Storm. So we went to a village of 5,000 people with all our gifts and abilities, including computers, ministry, dental, medical, and so on. And we just broadcast Christ and spoke of him directly. And many ministries have developed under or in this time, because as you see the need, you start. And I'll give you one. One of them was somebody came with the idea of washing the feet of the villagers. And we thought, okay, that's easy. It doesn't cost much. And there always has to be a person that leads the charge, that has the ability to lead the team. So they needed wash basins and a heart for washing feet. And of course, the villagers, first of all, they need their feet washed, and they don't, but they've never experienced this. And the reason we came up with this, because Jesus himself taught us in his example. So it became one of the most powerful ministries or branches of our ministry, because you just put a wash basin and talk to people for 20 minutes as you wash their feet. A lot of them started crying, breaking down, saying, why are you Americans washing our tired old feet? And that was an open door to say, well, Jesus washed his disciples' feet. We are not below that. We're actually asked to do that. And it's a blessing for us. You wouldn't know it, how blessed we are to wash your feet and how honorable it is. So that became that. So basically ministry developed with need and with expansion based on the needs of the people of Moldova. And we've been there for 25 years. We've since branched out to other parts of the world. We were many years in Honduras. We were many years in, we did Romania as well. We traveled, we did soccer tournaments, calling people to missions across Europe. And now we're looking at Dominican Republic. And for the last 5 years, we've been in Tanzania and working with YWAM. And it's been just a sheer pleasure to be on different continents.
And YWAM is?
Youth with a Mission. Tineri pentru Misiune is in Romanian. And they have a very strong presence in Romania. And a lot of our friends that went with Charity Cup are part of their ministry now. So we coupled up and we've partnered with them for 5 years in Tanzania, and it's just a joy.
Excellent. So it started in Detroit, moved across the U.S., California, other cities, for the goal of Moldova globally. And then globally, God began to open up doors to other countries, all through the idea of sports, medical, all, the type of ministries that can easily open up doors. So Honduras, you said, Tanzania, and so on. Now it seems like a lot.
Yeah.
How big is the organization now? How many are there full-time staff? Are there obviously volunteers? Tell us a little bit about how big the organization is.
We have a board of 8. We have a core, we call it, a group of people that we've been working with over the years, which is probably about 20, 30 people that are consistently supporting. They're all volunteers. We do have a president, obviously, which we've decided in the last couple of years to have a full-time salary so we can expand. And his current vision is beautiful. It's Adi Ambrosi, and he basically says ministries across all continents or missions across all continents, and that's the goal. And we do have paid staff, full staff in Moldova. We had quite a lot. I shouldn't say quite a lot. We had a handful. And each ministry has a paid staff. So they have Children of Light. We're working with kids. We have the girls ministry, and we have soccer ministry, and we have just outreaches in the medical. The medical staff is based here in the States, so they're not paid, but those 3 are paid full staff, and they have their own support staff, marketing and so on, that we pay a small salary, but enough to feed their family and to do the job that they need to do. Yeah.
That's great. So, over the years, a lot of events that have happened. Would love to hear any stories that you may have that could help those that are watching and listening on challenges. We know there are challenges in the mission field. Can you talk about any recent challenges or one that kind of comes to your mind that happen, but you overcame with the power of the Holy Spirit and God's help?
Yeah. Initially, we started with taking goods, not just people, but taking goods with us, physical, luggages and the strain and stress of that. And we thought it was a great idea, and it was for the time being. I remember one year we decided to send a van to Moldova. It was a blessing for many years. And I took it upon myself not only to, get the van, but get the people. And we did care packs. Each care pack was about $25. And we picked up 1,000 care packs driving throughout America to the port in Washington where we dropped it off. It went smooth for a while, and you'll see why I brought up I'm bringing up the blessing before I, bring the challenge. So the van was packed to the brim, drove it across America, dropped it off. And then when I flew to Europe, I flew to Austria with a friend of mine. From Austria, we decided to go pick it up. It was Friday afternoon. But Gabi and Marius, they spoke of a time when they were in Germany and they were searching for a church, and God miraculously led them where they just looked up, and though they thought they were lost, they happened to be under the shadow of the church. So that story was something that resonated in my heart, and I forgot about it. But here I am picking up the van. I'm going to Belgium. Never been to Belgium in my life. I don't speak German. My friend did, but I was driving, and everything looked foreign, but it was fine. We're going to a port city. I realized later Antwerp is the second largest port in Europe. I didn't know. I'm just going to drive and find the needle in the haystack, right? Just the youthful exuberance that we had at the time. So we drive. It's Friday afternoon. We didn't have much money to stay over the weekend. We had to pick up the van and go to Moldova. So we ended up pausing at a gas station. There's many exits that say, so many ports. I picked up an exit by accident. I went to a gas station. And I asked the guy, where is this address? Like, I'm looking for this. I have about 10 minutes, 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah, this is before Apple Maps.
Oh, absolutely. This was with with an address on not even a phone. It was an address on a map. And he turns around and he had a huge map on the wall, and he points. He goes, "We're here, and this thing is right here." And of that big map, they're separated by a couple millimeters. And I said, "This is great." So I went there, and the gentleman, the guy that was waiting for us, the customs agent, he called us up in his office. It was upstairs. The van was downstairs in the warehouse. And he was mesmerized that I'm from California and my license. Yeah, he was talking about California. I was like, okay, great. But I didn't know that God is using that to open doors to say, I'm not even going to check your van. Just take it. So a packed van full of goods, So we're like, man, this is the blessing of God. So we get in the van. To make a long story short, we end up going to the borders of Romania, Moldova. And that's where the challenge hit. They won't let us cross. It's contraband. It's not approved. We have no purpose. So I would say the challenges in the ministry have been over the years is crossing the border between Romania and Moldova, medical equipment or any of these goods. So that's been always a challenge, always a hard time. And I would say it's the authorities that don't know, but unwillingly to them, they cause challenges sometimes. We've overcome them by taking less goods, but at the same time, just praying. And it's always a miracle when we cross the border with our equipment. And we just, we brace for it and we just take it head on. Okay, it's going to be a problem. Maybe it's not, but we always make it. It's just always a headache.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're involved in missions, you plan, you prepare, but of course, when you get there, even before you get there, the devil is always fighting against that, right? Because you're going there to spread the gospel, to make an impact, and make a difference in that area. And so there always is going to be challenges. Would love to hear your thoughts on any stories or something that comes to your mind where God has really moved miraculously and that made the biggest impact in your experiences so far from the mission field.
Yeah, that taking a village by storm was something that God took us by storm. We were not prepared for the needs of a village of 5,000 people. So we went again, exuberant, happy, ready to serve with all our sails up, and it was great. And we did a wonderful job. But we ended up, establishing a church and supporting it over the years. But the first year was pretty rough. I mean, people came with all sorts of needs and requests, mostly spiritual needs, right? Things that we didn't encounter or didn't expect to encounter. So I would say the biggest, not one of the biggest lessons was just being ready to serve the community you're in, regardless of where you're at. It happened the same in Honduras. It happened in Africa. Each community has different needs. Each community has different, let me see how I can put it, spiritual warfare or spiritual tactics or spiritual oppressions that possessions even that people may have. And I remember Moldova praying for people over and over. They would literally tell you, we went to the priest, we went to the witchcraft doctor, we did this, they did everything. And then Christ or our ministry was another request for God to deliver him. So we prayed for people and I wouldn't say we delivered, but God delivered miraculously in a city. And a church was planted in that particular place, and people have a consistent light. So I would say, though, the moment was important when you pray for people to be delivered from that. More important than that is that there's a community that brings the light of Christ and the hope of Christ consistently over the years. So that if they, even Jesus says you drive out the bad guy, the demon, but they go in the desert and they come back sevenfold. So you got to have something to replace that with. And I think the biggest, most beautiful miracle is that communities or churches are sprung up, or groups of people that want to honor God long term. So I look at it over the years. It's the long term effect that's the miracle, not the instantaneous moments that have their benefits. But like you said, lighter fluid that can just be boof and it's gone. But I love the idea of having just a fire that burns for years, and hopefully till Jesus comes back, when the community has the light of Christ, the gospel, the message of hope present consistently for anybody to approach and be transformed by it.
That's right. And you touched upon a few things in that answer, this idea of, long-term something. What's the balance of Charity Cup and short-term missions versus, long-term missions? In other words, someone that comes in with a backpack or somebody that comes in with a few suitcases? We've
had both. And we encourage the backpack missionaries because ultimately that's their exposure and the igniting of their passion for the ministry. They may never work with us again, but if they're out a 2 week or a week, we'll take them. We'll take as many as short-term as want to come and experience God on the mission field. From that, we've had people that dedicated their lives, moved overseas or moved across from Romania to Moldova, or moved. Some are talking to moving to Tanzania now. Some have moved with YWAM, to Hawaii, for example, to work with them, full-time missionaries. So there's a lot that has happened that we were not pushing for that, but the Spirit did, and they become full-time missionaries for life. And it was at their desire, and God put that on their heart. And those are the ones that, make a home or make a family or make a ministry out of it around their calling. And they don't necessarily have to be with Charity Cup. And we're actually excited even if they're not, because ultimately they got sparked, they got an interest, and based on their capacities and their skill level, God put them in a place and they're doing full-time ministry. We work with them, we support them. They're our friends. They'll continue to be our friends. And it's exciting to see that, different people throughout the world having that spark come alive, and becoming a full-time missionary it's a challenge. At the same time, it's one of the greatest callings. And if they feel it, we encourage and support them in that. Yeah, full-time.
So there's the ones that the individuals that are more long-term missionaries.
Yes.
In other words, they've moved there. They're living there for maybe a few months, years, or permanent. Are they official Charity Cup missionaries?
Yes, some of them are, and some are just friends. But official Charity Cup missionaries, we had a girl that came with us. She's the one that's responsible with the Girls Project in Moldova. She's got her doctorates in Romania. She was teaching at the university, and she decided to move to Moldova, get married to a local, become the wife of a leader, a pastor in the community, and continue this ministry with girls full time. And so that family and they have their own children. And it's just a beautiful blessing to see how that was her calling, and that's who she was. Others, a friend from Arizona, Raluca, she moved, and she's also doing girls ministry on her own, but with support and with the friendship over the years. We always meet, we always talk, we always encourage, we overlap. But she started her own ministry within the church in the city of Balți, and it's great to see that as well. And she has her own thriving ministry with the girls that go to the college and so on. So some are paid, and some are friends that have worked with us, and we consider them friends for life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. A few of the people that you mentioned, I've known over the years as well, and so glad to hear that they're continuing to do that. So we talked about Charity Cup, soccer tournaments, events, and so on. How do people get involved with Charity Cup? Is there a starting point that they get involved with? Can you talk a little bit about how they get involved?
Mostly, there's mission trips, and it's great if they would come with us on a mission trip. You get to know somebody when you do the work with them, when you sweat and you shed tears along the way. So that would be one of the better ways. But if that's not possible, we do have tournaments throughout the U.S. Namely, we have them in Detroit. We had them in Atlanta. Depends on the season and the year. So we do have obviously social media. So Charity Cup pages on ministries, either on Instagram, Facebook, and so on, or the website charitycup.com, which is now being refurbished. But that's a way to do it. So interaction with us at that level. We appreciate any help, but at the same time, we're not soliciting help. We're soliciting people. We want people to come. We want friends that can come and learn from us, and we can learn from them. So they can get involved as volunteers at a local tournament. They can get involved on a mission trip if they want. Or, for example, we'll be going to London to do a soccer tournament. And later on, we'll be in Europe for working with other ministries. So maybe they want to do a trip to Europe and, shoot two birds with one stone, see the city of London, but also participate to see how the Romanians are doing in that city. And so there's opportunities here, overseas, or maybe I think the mission is one of the better ones, but all these are great. We could use volunteers. And ultimately, when I say use volunteers, I mean, we want the exposure and expose them to wonderful people. Our overarching theme, is to wake up the giant, the Romanian giant from missions. So if we can wake up anybody, even at a soccer tournament, and they would see the need or the harvest or, the sheep that Jesus speaks about that are scattered and without a shepherd, if they can see that, then their heart can be stirred for something missions oriented in the future. So that would be great for us. And we'd love to support if they need support for that.
So you were talking about having these soccer tournaments in different cities and everything else, and London and other places. If I'm an individual in a city where Charity Cup is not there, or a country where it's not there, is it possible to start one in my city? How does it work to start a tournament in an area?
Just pick up the phone and call one of us, and we can start at that point. If there's a person that has the passion or the ability to get together a couple locals, and of course you need support, but it takes one person to lead. If we have a good lead, we will work with that individual to whatever end. We've started golf tournaments like that. We have started ministries on the ground in Moldova from, a soccer camp. A person came there with a group of deaf kids, and she had on her heart
A
these
group of what kids?
deaf kids.
Deaf as in you can't hear.
Mute and deaf.
Okay.
They had both. And her point was these kids, once they become adults, they get kicked out. They have no skills. Society doesn't need them. So she wanted to do computers with them because they could see and they could rationalize, but they couldn't talk. So on the computer, they can have a voice. So we started a ministry like that. And from that ministry, believe it or not, there was a church that started for deaf kids only in Chisinau that had 150 participants, all deaf. I don't know why so many, but they all would come. And over the years, that was a powerful ministry. Some of those kids that played soccer became pastors and leaders in that community. But it started with a person desiring something, and we said, sure, let's work together on this. And same with any tournament or any city around the world. If there's a person that we can work with that wants to do something, they pitch the idea. We have ideas of our own that we will contribute. But at the end of the day, we go with the vision that's local and we support with our resources. And I think that's one of our gifts. Not that we have a big, wide, we have a big net, but the ministry, we know a lot of great people, the Romanian giant. And within this giant, there's a lot of great ministries and people, and we can connect resources. And that's a gift we have, and we can bring resources and ultimately start projects that some may have on their heart, but they need support with.
And so that's encouraging to hear, because what I'm hearing is if I'm somebody that's listening to this podcast and God puts on my heart to say, hey, I am in city or country X, and this would be fantastic to do something like this. Let me get a hold of George. Let me go to the website, charitycup.com and or social media and reach out. And it sounds like Charity Cup has the structure and the experience to help create one, but it's the responsibility of the person that had the idea to really locally make those connections, get those signups, promote the event in a way, right? To be able to get a good participation. So in a way, you're that individual now in themselves are becoming that, not missionary, but a leader that can really make an impact in their city. Is that right?
That's right. We are called Charity Cup Ministries on purpose because we do believe in different ministries, but under the umbrella of Charity Cup. We are not very much bent on having our name and our brand in a certain thing. So we have personally worked with many ministries where we're just simply counseling, helping, supporting, even giving resources. And so we're big on the idea of waking up this giant. It doesn't have to wear the badge of Charity Cup. Actually, we're kind of poor at promoting our branding, but we like to work with people. So all in the name of do something for the Lord, do it locally, and and then it can go globally, but start locally, and we'll help you with that at whatever level we can.
And so, it sounds like that's an opportunity to get involved with Charity Cup. Can you talk a little bit about any upcoming mission trips or anything that individuals can get involved with, and ones that happen every single year?
Yes. Tanzania happens twice a year. It happens that we had our winter trip, but it's because it's on the south side of the world. It's their summer, our winter. So basically our winter, a trip in Tanzania, our summer, a trip in Tanzania. Those I have about 25 to 30 people. That's how small we want to keep it so we're effective and efficient. But then we have Moldova, which is open-ended. We have that every year. We've had it for 25 years. That's happening around the same time in the month of July. And of course, we're trying to reach out to we're not going back to Honduras just yet, but we're going to the Dominican Republic. Our president, Ambrose, he happens to be a co-pastor at a Spanish-speaking church in Kentucky, of all places. God put him there. And he preaches in English after he thinks in Romanian, and there's a translation in Spanish. So the pastor there has connections in the Dominican Republic, and we said, we are going, and we're going to go there. So there's an opportunity for that. And, of course, the tournament, like I mentioned, in London. And we are going to go with, you may have heard of them, the Schools, which is a ministry out of North Carolina. They reached out to partner with us, and we're excited. And we're hoping to go with them to awaken the European giant. They're going to be in Vienna in August. And they're going to do a session, and they're going to do their thing. But we're going to be their support to bring young people and to talk to young people. So we're going to support them under the banner of the Schools. But that's our joy to be part of that.
Under the banner of
the Schools, which means
Schools, like,
take your shoes off. That's it's an interesting ministry. It's beautiful, and the idea in the presence of the Lord. There's a longer story with it, but they've done it in North Carolina and Hickory for years. It's kind of like the Romanian gathering or homecoming. Is that what they call it?
Mm-hmm.
Something of the sort where they sing and each person has up to a few minutes to speak a testimony. It's very, very beautiful for what they do, the ministry they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to go to Europe, and they invited us, and we said, sure, we'd love to partner.
Yeah. Speaking of partnerships, it sounds like there's an opportunity for Honduras with our church. Bethany's been involved in mission trips to Honduras. My wife and I were there actually in summer, I believe last summer or so. And there's ongoing trips there as well. And so we definitely need to talk afterwards.
I would. And it's the first time I hear of it. A couple of days ago, I heard of it in church, and I was honored because Honduras has a special place in our heart. I also want to say we went to El Salvador, and it was at the time, it was one of the murder capital of, I guess, the Western hemisphere of the world. Since then, man, have things changed? Does God not move people in places? So we're looking forward to ministry again, and to, especially with you guys, it would be great to partner up for Honduras.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what we're going to do is we'll try and get it close to the end here. Enjoyed hearing a lot about you, about Charity Cup, about how people can get involved. And, as we think about closing here, you've been involved now in missions and ministry, like you said, for over 20 years. Over the years, you've seen things change and evolve, and not just, ways people get connected and involved, but how people can raise funds and, be a part of things, and just different ways to do missions.
Yeah.
And let's think about the future.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the future? What does Charity Cup look like in the next 10 years or more?
Yes, I will. I forgot to mention Brazil. We went a few times to Brazil. I personally didn't go. So our, Clementine from Houston with this soccer ministry has gone there a few times. And I'm sure I'm going to forget something, but those are the things we've done. But thank you for helping us point to the future. I think the future looks as follows for us. We do have the vision to be on every continent, not to have a point on the map. That's pathetic, at least in my opinion, but to have every place you go, you get, as a missionary or as a ministry, you get changed. You learn, you work with the locals, and you have a different heart. So for example, to me, Africa, before I went, was a very massive place that has many things, and I could describe it from that perspective. The moment I describe Africa to you now, I describe individuals, a person with a name. So I think the way missions is going to go, especially with this advent and explosion of AI and social media and just the image projection everywhere you look, it feels like it's images, and you don't even know if it's, I teach science, and the first thing I talk about, the coming back from the moon. Oh, Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. And the kids are like, was that AI? Was that CGI generated? So you have this confusion.
Things are relative.
General. Yes. Very general confusion of a lot of information, misinformation, overlap. I think where the gospel, and I think where the church is going to be excellent, and our ministries, what we want to be excellent at, is the human contact, the face-to-face, the experience that beats anything, visual or digital or, distant. So heck, going to Tanzania, I have a friend. The leader is Jeremiah. I collaborate. Of course, technology helps us to write and keep in touch, but that would only happen. We use technology after the fact as a means and a tool, but I had to go in the flesh and hug him and cry with him for his needs, and vice versa, him with mine. We became friends, like Paul says, greet each other with a holy kiss. It's that connection that's never going to go away. Actually, I think it will get amplified. And there's more need for direct contact with people from different parts of the world. A, for us to bring the gospel. B, to understand their needs and their community, and then bring some of that back and make the Romanian church here in the States or wherever we happen to be aware of the broader, bigger world. There's a lot of commonalities. Of course, all humans are humans, but there's a lot of distinctions between each culture, continent, tribe, group of people. And I don't know, that's just the beauty of of Christ's ministry, right? The plethora of gifts he gave to the church, but also of the myriad of ways that he does his miracles, and through people and different, gifts and different talents and different cultures. And it's just fascinating. I think that's just great. Our creative God never stops, obviously creating different things, but we never stop to learn. There's no limit to how creative is and how beautiful, the people that he made and their cultures are, so I think we'll never stop learning. And when we get to heaven, we'll realize how little we have learned on this planet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I love your point on technology will continue to grow and expand, but it doesn't replace the relational aspect of one-to-one, of being there physically in person, which is, I believe, at the heart of God, at the heart of Jesus. He created us for relationships. He came to this earth to sacrifice himself for us. And so I think it's something for us to remember and to not lose sight of as we're distracted more and more with technology, no matter what it's called, AI, going to Mars, whatever that topic is, 10 years from now. But
if I could add a little bit, we're asked to make disciples. And my grandfather, he was very wise, older man, never spoke much, but when he did, I always listened. And he once said, George, you preach from the pulpit. And he goes, that's great. That's the general plan of God. And you have people that are like bottles that need, the word. It's like taking a bucket and you just toss the water over the bottles. Some get it, some don't, whatever. The more you do it, the more obviously. And I said, okay, grandfather, that's great. And then he picked up 2 bottles. I don't know why I had 2 bottles on the table, but I did. And I think they're Coke. Anyways, and he pours from one bottle to the other. And he says, this is how you make disciples. One person to another, consistent, long-term investment. You will change a person if you spend time with a person. Obviously, God could have talked to the whole planet with an angel speaking the message of the good news. He didn't. He came as his own son in the flesh. And he lived with them, doing things day in and day out, right? And that's who he made disciples. And those disciples made other disciples. And that's the model we're going to use too. One-on-one, bottle to bottle. And, we do bigger things and we like to broadcast, and that's great too. But that has its purpose. But ultimately, it's where you win souls is one-on-one, consistently investing in individuals with names, with personalities, with traits, with gifts, and so on.
And, one-on-one discipleship is so critical. And one of the challenges of one-on-one discipling is the scaling aspect of it, right? How do you scale, right? Because if it's one-to-one, if Charity Cup right now is 8 individuals on the leadership board, from what I understood, right? Like now, if you disciple one person, that's 16. But I think, I pray God continues to give you all wisdom on how to multiply that, because I love that illustration of, pour from one bottle into another versus spraying on a whole bunch of bottles. They'll get wet, but it just kind of rolls. It may just roll off, right? And so
both are necessary, but I would say, even Paul challenged us to spread the gospel, give the gospel to persons that can pass it to other persons that are worthy, and so on. So it's the scaling effect, I think, ultimately has to do with what the next generation or the next group of people. So in many years, you can do many bottles, but you just have to consistently make sure that each person or each disciple we work or you work with can continue to pass that, is the mature and the proper individual to continue that message. And that's how the gospel spreads properly.
Yeah, that's great. So someone right now is listening and they've enjoyed this podcast, enjoyed your story, but more importantly, they felt a nudge of the Holy Spirit. They felt something saying, I want to get involved. What is your advice on somebody listening that wants to get involved in missions, wants to get involved in something beyond where they're at right now? How do they get started?
It's as simple as, putting one foot in front of the other or doing the next step. Each step of obedience, no matter how small, obedience in the sense of like if God put it on your heart or have a spirit nudge or you have an internal desire of things. To me, it started with just a curiosity and a fascination with others doing ministry. And God took that as a prayer. It wasn't even an outward prayer, Lord, I want to be a missionary. I've never prayed that. I've prayed to be an effective missionary, but I've never prayed to be a missionary. And it just so happened that I desired that. I felt the need and I moved in the direction of God in that particular direction, and He blessed it. And the next step led to the next step. So it always starts with a step. You cannot wait till you're ready. You cannot wait till you're perfect. You cannot wait till you have everything, all your ducks in a row. That doesn't make any sense at all. You can start immediately. If the Spirit nudges you, it's your sign. And I don't know if people go by signs or not, but it's your calling, it's your draw. And if you have that draw of God, start wherever you can. Do what you can with what you can, but do it well, And if you're going to do something, don't look back and don't do it half-heartedly, So seize the day, of course, but I think the way Jesus said it, I may go into Romanian, pune mâna pe plug, grab that plow and don't look back. If you're going to be my disciple, you got to do it wholeheartedly. If you go to battle, you got to be able to win. If you build a tower, make sure you have the funds for it. So in the sense of like not having it ahead of time, but know what you're getting into, know what it's going to cost. And it's going to cost your life. If you're going to be a missionary, you're going to enjoy doing this for the rest of your life. I mean, you can dabble with it and pretend that it's great, but if you're going to do this really and do it well, just realize God is going to take you on a journey that will take you to the end of your life. And it's beautiful and it's His. And you don't have to worry about many of the details. He'll give you those as you go. But what you have to worry about is that you have the right attitude. You grab that plow really steadily, whatever it is, and start. You know, or start the plowing process. And Jesus says, do not look back. Do not regret. Do not count the cost in the sense of what I've lost. Count the cost of what I have to invest in the future, but not of what I lost. So whatever the past is, great. That's awesome. But now grab that plow and look forward to the future. You know, bring it on. I love the expression, come what may, you know, secular, but it also can apply to us. Hey, come what may in this world. Easy times, hard times, who cares? I'm with God. I'm grabbing the plow and He's telling me where to go. And I'm just going to do it. I'm going to work in His fields, period.
Yeah. And
no matter what it costs. Yeah.
It could be a long term. It could be short term.
Exactly.
It could be, you know, locally. It could be the next Charity Cup event. You know, reach out, volunteer. That's local missions, right? And beyond. There's, you know, so much more that we can talk about. But yeah, that's great advice. Take that first step. Yeah. Take that first step. So last thing, any closing thoughts? Again, to somebody that is, you know, listening and saying, I want to get involved, or, you know, I'm doubting, or any type of last words or last thoughts for somebody that's interested in missions.
Yeah, as a pastor, I'll say this tongue in cheek. Sometimes you think if you want to do missions, you go to your pastor and talk, and you assume that individual, that person, that man has it figured out for you. And they won't. They may not, or they may. I was told by one of my mentors, says, if you're going to do missions, if you're going to do work, find the people that understand your calling, or at least see you and know you. And it could be just a random person in the church. It could be an old lady. It could be somebody that's been praying for you to see. So I would say, let God lead. If you're going to go ask advice or ask support, it may not be the person at the front. It may not be the person that's visible. Maybe somebody that's in the church. You know, get a network of friends, talk to people, share your idea, bounce ideas with people in the church that you trust and that have been there for you, and you have been there for them as well. And these are the spiritual fathers, he called them, you know, and they can be, like I said, an old lady, or it can be your best friend, or it can be someone that's anonymous almost, you know, but not to God. So that's how I would say, get involved. And as you start getting involved, that's my philosophy. Of course, talk to God, talk to people. So have that. And if you're married, talk to your spouse. Of course, it's got to be a mutual event. Talk to your kids if you have kids. Make sure that they understand. And it's a mindset. It's a shift. We're going to do this. And it may, again, it could, like you said, it could be a short-term investment. You have no idea where it leads. And you don't have to know where it leads. That's the beauty. You don't have to know the future. You have to know that you take the next step with God. You know, He directs your path. So whatever you have to do, whatever's at hand, do it wholeheartedly with the people around you. Bring them along for the ride. You know, that's the best. I've had, I think I mentioned to you this morning, I had some of the sweetest old ladies in my church always pray when we went on mission trips, and always be grateful when we came back, and always come and give whatever they could of their small pension or salary that they had. And those are, to me, like the foundation, like we heard this weekend. Those are the giants that support the mission field, you know? We are the visible ones, but there's an army that is behind, helping, supporting, you know? And the way one of the guys I listened to on the radio, he said, you know, we have the fighters and we have those that help the fighters. So if you're called to be a fighter, go for it. Fight with all your might. If you're called to be a helper, maybe you're not called on the mission field per se, quote unquote, but you may be supportive of someone that's fighting. Maybe your calling is to do something you can't go. An individual in your church last night said, I cannot go, but I'd like to contribute. And he gave me some money. And I said, well, I almost cried. And I said, that's beautiful. You can't go now. That's fine. But you can give now. You can pray now. You can participate now. You can be in the moment now, whatever's happening. Be involved in the great work that God is doing through various ministries. If the giant's awake, you know, what can stand in our way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and close it up. And before we do, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know how to get a hold of you, how to get a hold of Charity Cup. Would love to hear where they can get a hold of you.
I know not everybody is on social media, but that's probably our main way to do it. Of course, the website charitycup.com, or Charity Cup Ministries on, like I said, on the social media platforms. Or if they wanted me as an individual, George Puraci, and as you hear it, that's how you spell it. Or through the local church pastors. I would hope that we are in the Romanian community in America, at least. I would hope the pastors know of us and we know of them, and we do. So maybe your pastor knows, or a number, or so on. Please call, please text, please. That means, please come see us wherever we happen to be. Give us a hug and introduce yourselves, and I would love to reciprocate in kind. We look forward to meeting people and to hearing. I would love just to bounce ideas off people. You have a ministry, share it with us. We'll support, we'll help, we'll guide if we need to do that. But the point is, we love to hear, because we get encouraged by everything good work that is happening. Sometimes I was telling one of your leaders here at church, the ministry leader, Zvan, it would be cool to have a website where all the ministries, populate, saying this is what we're doing for the glory of God, and we can, get more information there. We don't have that yet, but it would be cool to have it, and to say it's not even to. There's no boasting. It's like, this is what God's doing. We happen to be called this, but look at how God's work in the Romanian community, and we can actually be encouraged of each other and with each other, and say, oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah, all
the churches involved and all that they're doing. I don't think we have a broad picture yet of what God is doing. And Elijah had that temptation. Lord, it is just me and I'm alone. And God said, really? I have 7,000 men that haven't bowed their knees. And God made sure that he knew the number specific, 7,000. So you're not alone, Elijah. I'm not alone. Nobody's alone. We're a team or a network of individuals that work for the kingdom. So it's beautiful.
That's right. That's right. And together with with Jesus, power of the Holy Spirit, doing amazing things. So, George, thank you so much for being a part of the Bethany podcast. Really appreciated our conversation.
Thank you for your time and for your invitation. I appreciate it.
This wraps up today's episode of the Bethany Church podcast here from San Antonio, Texas. We pray you've been blessed and encouraged by this message. Once again, if you've enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to subscribe and share it with your family and friends, and be a part of this mission through prayer and your involvement. Until then, stay blessed and continue growing in faith, prayer, and love. May God bless you, and we'll see you next time.